Good morning, everybody. Today we're gonna go over adding and subtracting rational numbers again, and I just want to cover uh, some different things when going over rational numbers when we're adding and subtracting them. Okay, uh, we treat rational numbers when we add and subtract the same way as we do integers. Okay, so if we're subtracting a negative number, or if we're just subtracting in general, we can always use SCC to help us solve it if we need to. And the same goes for adding our integers. If they have the same sign, if the rational numbers have the same sign, we'll just add and carry the sign. So, and there's a couple other things that we need to go over as well. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of sample problems for you today, and some of them you've seen and some of them you may not have. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start on these. And the first thing we're going to talk about is like fractions. Okay, and like fractions is fractions that have the same denominator. So 1/4 and 3/4, well, those are like fractions. Okay, so if we were to add these fractions, okay, if we have like fractions and we add, our denominator stays the same, and we just add our numerator, so 1 plus 3. Okay, now in this situation we have 4/4. Like I've said in previous videos, a fraction is a division problem. Okay, so 4 divided by 4. Alright, if our numerator and denominator are the same, what do we get when we divide 4 by 4? We get 1. So 1/4 plus 3/4 equals 1. Alright, so let's look at another like fraction. Let's say okay. Now we have 7/10 minus 9/10. I've told you all before that sometimes we don't need to use SCC. Okay, but we have like fractions, so we're going to carry our denominator over. Now if we can do 7 minus 10, or sorry, 7 minus 9 in our head, that's fine. Okay, so 7 minus 9 is 2, but it's going to be a what? A negative 2. So just a negative 2. Now if you want to do SCC, you can change the sign of those numbers. Okay, the answer is still going to be negative 2/10. Okay, now we also have unlike fractions. And what an unlike fraction is, okay, 2/3 plus 5/6. Okay, now when we add or subtract unlike fractions, we need to find a common denominator. And I told you on one video that if you have a hard time finding what number they both go into, you can always multiply these two numbers together because they will both go into that number. Okay, so but in this case we know that 3 goes into 6, right? Yeah, and it goes into 6 twice, so we need to times our numerator and our denominator by 2 because we want to get our denominator to 6. So now we have 6/4 plus 5/6. Okay, we've changed it to a like fraction. Our denominator stays the same. Okay, we don't add it, we just carry it over. Now we add our numerators. 4 plus 5 gives us 9. Now from another video, does anybody remember what we call a fraction like this? Where the numerator is larger than the denominator. Okay, that's an improper fraction. Now if it's improper, we're not going to leave it that way. We have to change it into a mixed number. Okay? And a mixed number, also in a video that I've already posted, a mixed number tells us that we have a whole number. Alright? So a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. Okay? So I'm going to show you again how to change an improper fraction to a mixed number. Alright? A fraction is a division problem. Okay? And it's numerator divided by the denominator. Okay? So when we're going from an improper fraction to a mixed number, these are the steps that you take. 6 goes into 9, goes into it one time. Okay? So 1 times 6 is 6, then we subtract. Alright, 9 minus 6 is 3. Alright? We're going to stop right there. This top number, that's your whole number. So 9/6 is equal to 1. That's my whole number. This is your numerator. Okay. This is your denominator. So 9/6 is equal to 1 3/6. Excuse me. All right. Now, we can simplify 3/6. Okay? So we can simplify that. So we got to find a common factor between 3 and 6. Well, 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. Okay? So we can divide each side by 3. Okay, and we still get 1 as our whole number. Okay, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so 1 1/2. Alright, and that's how we can add and subtract, and we deal with our improper fractions. Okay? Alright, we're going to switch gears now, and we're going to talk about adding decimals and fractions together. Alright, as we know, my handwriting's not the best, but adding and subtracting decimals and fractions. Okay, so let's start with, and you're going to see these on your assignment today. Okay, you're going to see them on your assignment today. So I got 3.2 plus 1/10. Alright, 3.2 plus 1/10. Okay, now if we have a number to the left of the decimal, this is our whole number. Alright, so we either have to convert our decimal to a fraction or our fraction to a decimal, and we'll do it both ways. Alright, so first we're going to change our decimal to a fraction, and then we can add. Okay, so this is my whole number, so my whole number is going to stay the same. So I'm going to do 3. Now I'm going to convert my 0.2 to a decimal, or to a fraction, sorry. If we remember from the other videos, alright, what place is that 2 in? Alright, as we said before, we have the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths, okay, and it keeps going up from there. So the 2 is in the tenths place. Okay, so if we kind of look at it, well, I've already did it. I've already converted that decimal to a fraction. Alright? So there's my 3, my whole number, and my 2/10. 3 and 2/10. Okay? Plus 1/10. Okay? So we just drop that other one down. Now, when we get here, we're going to carry our whole number over. Okay? Just carry it on over. Now, if you have a whole number on this side, we add our whole numbers together, and then we'll add them and we'll place them over here. Okay? But for this instance, we don't. So now we have, if we took our 3 away, we have what? They have the same denominator. We have like fractions. So all we need to do is bring our denominator over. It stays the same, and then add our numerators. So 3.2, 3 and 2/10 plus 1/10 is equal to 3 and 3/10. Now, if we get over here, and this can be simplified, we're going to simplify it like we did on the last example. Okay? And I'm going to show you another example. And it doesn't matter. On your assignment, it's going to tell you one section you're going to place in a fraction, the other section you're going to place the answers in a decimal. So let's go ahead and do that with the same problem here. Alright, so I wanted you to answer this one in a fraction, so let's answer this one in a decimal. So we already have a decimal, 3.2, so we're just going to bring that down. Now we're going to convert 1/10 into a decimal. Well, I know 1/10, my 1 is in the tenths place. Alright, now if you have to go on out here and you need to divide, that's fine. Okay? So I got my 0.1. Alright, now I'm just going to add those two together. Okay? So I get 3 and 3/10. Okay? So this mixed number and this decimal, they're equal. Okay? They're equal. Okay, and I'm doing addition right now, but subtraction would work the same way. Once we get here, if this was subtraction, we just subtract 2 minus 1, which would give us 3 and 1/10. Okay? And the same way here, this will give us 3 and 1/10. Okay, 3.1. If we were subtracting. Okay? Okay, so when we talked about this one, we had this like fractions. They had the same denominator. Let's go over one that's not going to have the same denominator. Oh, sorry. I want to do a decimal here. Alright, so we got 3.7 plus 2/5. Okay? So, I want this answer to be in a fraction form first. Okay? So, I'm going to convert my decimal to a fraction. So, my whole number is going to stay the same. 7 is in what place? It's in the tenths. So, 7/10 plus 2/5. Okay? Now, my denominators are different, so I want my denominators to be the same. So in order to do that, 5 goes into 10 how many times? Well, in this case, it goes into it twice. So I'm going to multiply. Let me write this down. I'm going to multiply my numerator and denominator by 2 because that's going to get me a like denominator. So 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so I have my like denominators. So I have 3. 7 plus 4 is 11. And I carry my denominator. Now, this might look a little different, right? We have a mixed number where we have an improper fraction. Okay? So when we have something like this, I want to keep the 3 over by itself for right now, okay? I'm going to take the 3 away, and I'm just going to put an addition sign down here, because now I'm going to change my 11/10 into a mixed number itself. So my numerator divided by my denominator, 10 goes into 11 one time. 1 times 10 is 10. Okay, I'll subtract 11 and 10. It's going to give me 1. This is our what? That's our whole number. This number is our numerator. And our denominator is what? Well, our denominator is what we started with. Okay? So if we have a mixed number with an improper fraction in it, we're just going to pull this whole number off by itself, and then we're going to add our fraction to that. We're going to change that improper fraction to a mixed number. So now all we have to do is add our whole numbers. And carry the fraction with it. Okay? So hopefully this video will give you a little bit better understanding of adding and subtracting fractions and decimals. Like I said, your assignment today is going to have I think 8 problems on it. Okay? Section 1, I believe, wants you to answer in a fraction form. Section 2 wants you to answer in a decimal form. Okay? So make sure that you read those directions. Alright, so it's section 1, and it'll have a little description right before you start, and it's going to say answer these following questions in fraction form. And then section 2 is going to say answer these questions in decimal form. Okay? So, with that said, if you need any help, please refer back to this. Okay? You can pause this at any time, okay, and put it in your math journal. Okay? Okay. So, check this video out before you do the assignment, and use this assignment on, or use this video on your assignment. Okay?